afraid that too many times we have put so much focus on teaching you to be good seed that we haven't taught you the power of good soil. And so when we come to soil issues, the seed ignores the soil. We flick the channel. That has nothing to do with me. We close our eyes because we have been taught to be good seed, but we have not been taught to pay attention to soil. And yet the Bible is clear. Jesus says the sower went forth sowing seed. And some fell by the wayside. Some fell amongst rocks. Some fell amongst thorns. The whole text is about environment. Look at you and look at your environment. Have you been positioned to flourish? Positioning has a lot to do with flourishing. To be in an environment, in a family that supports you. My sister and I were talking the other day. I was telling her what an amazing person she is, that all of our lives together and all the things that God did in my life, not once in all of the years that I've known her, and she was there when Mama had me, have I ever known her to be jealous of me. Not once, not ever. She has always been my cheerleader and my greatest fan. And she said, how could I be jealous of you? You're my brother. I said, a lot of people have siblings that hate them, that are jealous of them, that hope they choke. And some of my development has to be that God planted me in an environment of people that supported me. My brother, my sister, my mother, my father, they all supported me. You can have good seed, but if you've been in bad soil, people who hated you, environments that denied you, education that underserved you, communities that limited you, mentalities that poisoned you. Oh, do you hear what I'm saying? If your soil wasn't right, it doesn't mean that you're not right, but if your soil wasn't right, it's going to affect how you root and how you grow. And you might grow a little bit. The Bible says you can grow for a while, but then the thorns will choke you out, or the rocks will not have enough soil for your roots to grow. Are you blaming God for something you ought to be blaming the soil for? You cannot take a peach seed and plant it in a teaspoon of dirt and expect it to grow. Though the teaspoon of the dirt is the same size as the peach seed, it will not grow. The seed will only grow when it is planted in something bigger than itself. And I want to know, where are you planted this morning? Are you planted in something bigger than you? Or have you always been planted in teacups, surrounded by little dirt, little resources, small-minded people, narrow, limited places that never let you stretch to reach your capacity? Sometimes you gotta go where the corn is. If enough people like me, then I am. How many people following you on Twitter? I got to get my following up. I got to get my friends up, because if I have popularity, oh, y'all got quiet again. Let me show you how many people follow me. Do you know Bishop started following? Girl, Bishop followed me. So I am because of who follows me, who likes me. Popularity-based identity. Ooh. Performance-based identity. If you do this, you'll be the Son of God. If they like you, you'll be the Son of God. If I give you enough possessions, you'll be. Now, Let me show you something. I'm teaching just do it, okay? And yet I'm criticizing doing it to define who you are. Well, I'm confused. Should I do it or not do it? You just said just do it, and then you turned around and said not to define myself by what I do. Can I critique my own text? Which way is it, Reverend? Do I do it or not do it? The problem is not about doing it, it is why you do it. What I am criticizing is putting the doing before the being, so that you think that if I do this, I will be somebody. If I buy this, I will be somebody. If they like me, I will be. You got it backwards. The people that know their God shall be and then do. And because your doing doesn't come from the deeper place of being, it hasn't worked for you. Because you are who you are, you can do what you can do. But if you're trying to find out who you are by doing things, you will never find out who you are by doing. You have to start with being. So are you getting it? I want you to see this. I don't want to lose you in this, because the difference between the two determines the direction of your destiny. If you're always seeking a certain status to validate who you are, you're never going to have peace. You have to know who you are, and then you can climb to the status. You can't climb up to find yourself. You have to find yourself so you can climb up. Oh God, you can't climb up to find yourself. You have to find yourself so you can climb up. So you can be who you are before anybody knows who you are. So that means you could be rich while you're broke. You could be healed while you're sick. You could be loose while you're bound. It does not yet appear what you shall be. It hadn't showed up what you shall be. But you got to be it before you can get it. Woman, thou art. I know it looks like you're tied up. I know you've been bowled over for 18 years. I know your conditions don't validate you, but let me tell you about who you are. You are loose. Not gonna be loose, not shall be loose. You're loosed on the inside before you're loosed on the outside. I'm delivered right now. I'm whole right now. I am it, so I can do it. I can do. Always go to something bigger than yourself. I'm wondering if you've been defeated because you have been giving yourself wholly to something that was too small to hold you. Have you thrust yourself into a glass of water? Yes, sir. Have you leaped off the diving board into a cereal bowl person? Are you not guilty of immersing yourself into things that were too small to hold your vision? Oh my God, this is so good I'm gonna get the CD myself. Jesus sent him to throw himself into something that was bigger than his condition. And he had to go to get to it. He had to get out of his comfort zone. My problem is so many times you've thrown big ideas at small people. You've given big commitment to cereal bowl people. And you're trying to get your sight back from a source that's too small to support what you're willing to put in. Is your investment bigger than the bank? You should see the way you're looking at me. Is the reason you keep being disappointed by people is that you have wholly thrown yourself into something that was too small. Life demands that you pick up the pace. If you don't pick up the pace, you're going to be left behind. I'm amazed at the people that lack the flexibility to pick up the pace. They just get in a rut. I stroll down here and I'm gonna stroll back. I'm gonna stroll over here. I'm gonna stroll over there. One of the most amazing things about the disaster at Malaysia is that when it happened, everybody had to pick up the pace. All the news media had to pick up the pace. They were booking night flights and flying over here and flying over there. Somebody had to work overtime, won't be home for 3 days, typing in the middle of the night, research going on, because when something happens, everybody got to pick up the pace. That's why I can't deal with people who cannot pick up the pace. Don't be strolling when I got a 911 on you. I need people who can pick up the pace. Slap your neighbor and say, pick up the pace. Something is about to happen. Pick up the pace, something is about to happen. Pick up the pace, something is about to happen. Pick up the pace, something is about to happen. Pick up the pace, something is about to happen. Pick up the pace, something is about to happen. I came to tell the young people, pick up the pace, pick up the pace, pick up the pace. Something is about to happen. The danger of low expectations. I would rather aim for the stars and not hit them than to not aim at all. I would rather go after it and not get it than not go after it at all. I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. I don't want to live with the idea, wonder what would have happened had I done more with my life. I'm going to go for it come hell or high water. I'm going after my destiny. Touch your neighbor and say, run. You got to run after your destiny. You can't stroll after your destiny. You can't walk after your destiny. You got to run. Somebody holler, run. You got to run. You got to run. You got to run. You can't just wake up in the morning and let me see what's going to happen today. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to wear. I don't know what I'm going to cook. I don't know where I'm going to go. I just woke up. Oh, you should stay in the bed. Give the day to somebody who's going to run after their destiny. Give the day to somebody who has a plan, who has a strategy, because success is never an accident. And if you don't want it, get out of my way, because there are some people who want to do something with their life who will run. Since we're talking about business, we're talking about money, you can't be tribal and be a global thinker at the same time. The reason money is called currency is that it needs to be able to flow. And the issue is, do you have a vision that flows beyond people who look like you, dress like you, and vote like you? And if you're going to do business, you can't do segregated business and do it well. If you've got a product that you believe in, or a message that you believe in, or a movie that you believe in, or whatever it is, you want to reach the broadest amount of people. And most people think tribally. All of their relationships, their contacts, their associates are tribal, and you block the ability to succeed when you block the ability to communicate beyond your tribe. lost a lot of stuff. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of strength. I lost a lot of courage. I lost a lot of time. I lost a lot of money, but I kept down on my knees. I was still believing. Broke, I was believing. Lonely, I was believing. Betrayed, I was... Kept. Touch 3 people and tell them, keep the faith, keep the faith. If you lose a job, keep the faith. If you lose the spouse, keep the faith. If you bury your child, keep the faith. If you have to downsize, keep the faith. If you have to move in with your mama, keep the faith. If you're at your wit's end, keep the faith. If you have to catch the bus, keep the faith. If you have to thumb, keep the faith. If you get sick, keep the faith. If you lose your kidneys, keep the faith. If you got heart trouble, keep the faith. You might not get a new heart, but you got to keep your faith. To be planted is destiny concealed. To have increase is destiny revealed. So when you plant a seed, you don't plant it as if the planting were the final destination. You plant it and you can't see it anymore. Its destiny is concealed in the hopes that ultimately it will become a stalk or of corn or an apple tree or whatever it was you planted, and in between the destiny concealed and the destiny revealed is something we call watering. And I thought, as dynamic as the text may be, to grapple with the notion of being planted and to grapple with the notion of having increase seems totally irrelevant if we don't stop by the station of watering. Because watering is the last step before increase. It is the transition point between what is concealed and what is revealed. And without the benefit of watering, the destiny will die in the ground, never reaching its potential simply because it has never been watered. And I thought I would ask you this morning, have you ever been watered? I'm reading somebody's mail right now. You cannot embrace what I'm about to teach if you don't understand that you have been planted. You didn't grow wild. You didn't just happen. You weren't just an afterthought. You didn't just come to be. You were planted. The sperm cell that created you outswam all of the millions of other cells before you had a Bible. Before you had a Bible, before you had a hymn book, you were already in a fight, and that cell outswam all the rest because you have been planted. Well, I want to make the distinction about being planted because the act of planting can be confusing to the student who has not watched. Because planting looks no different from burial. In order to do either one of them, you got to do some digging. And once you dig down in the ground, both of them are concealed. But one of them has a destiny and the other one does not. You bury the dead to get rid of the body, but you plant a seed so that it can go through a transformation of coming back up greater than it was when it went down. Oh, good God of mercy. That's so good, I'm going to come over here and say it again. When you plant a seed, you're not burying it to get rid of it. You're planting it so that it can go through a metamorphosis and come back up better than it was when it went down. How many people in this room have come up better than you were? I'm better. I'm better. I'm better than I was when I went down. It was good for me that I've been afflicted. For had I not been afflicted, I would have never known the glory of God. I'm better for it. I didn't like it, but I'm better for it. I couldn't see down there, but I'm better for it. You see, I was planted in a dark place where my sight didn't work for me, but I'm better for it. Every time you go through something dark and you can't see your way out, remember you've been planted, not been buried, and when you come up, I'm coming up. I'm coming up. Brother right here on the come up. I said, brother right here on the come up. Is there any sisters in here on the come up? Are there any families in here on the come up? Are there any preachers in here on the come up? You already been through hell, already been through high water, already been planted, already been in a dark place. But just because I'm in a dark place, don't expect me to stay in a dark place. Brother right here on the... Write yourself a note. I have not been buried. I have been planted. I may be underground, but I'm not buried in this mess. I'm planted in it. I'm planted in it, and if I'm planted in it, expect me to come back up again. And when I come back up, you won't recognize me because I'm going to be transformed by the experiences that I have endured. I am afraid that too many times we have put so much focus on teaching you to be good seed that we haven't taught you the power of good soil. And so when we come to soil issues, the seed ignores the soil. We flick the channel. That has nothing to do with me. We close our eyes because we have been taught to be good seed, but we have not been taught to pay attention to soil. And yet the Bible is clear. Jesus says the sower went forth sowing seed. And some fell by the wayside. Some fell amongst rocks. Some fell amongst thorns. The whole text is about environment. Look at you and look at your environment. Have you been positioned to flourish? Positioning has a lot to do with flourishing. To be in an environment, in a family that supports you. My sister and I were talking the other day. I was telling her what an amazing person she is, that all of our lives together and all the things that God did in my life, not once in all of the years that I've known her, and she was there when Mama had me, have I ever known her to be jealous of me. Not once, not ever. She has always been my cheerleader and my greatest fan. And she said, how could I be jealous of you? You're my brother. I said, a lot of people have siblings that hate them, that are jealous of them, that hope they choke. And some of my development has to be that God planted me in an environment of people that supported me. My brother, my sister, my mother, my father, they all supported me. You can have good seed, but if you've been in bad soil, people who hated you, environments that denied you, education that underserved you, communities that limited you, mentalities that poisoned you. Oh, do you hear what I'm saying? If your soil wasn't right, It doesn't mean that you're not right, but if your soil wasn't right, it's going to affect how you root and how you grow. And you might grow a little bit. The Bible says you can grow for a while, but then the thorns will choke you out, or the rocks will not have enough soil for your roots to grow. Are you blaming God for something you ought to be blaming the soil for? You cannot take a peach seed and plant it in a teaspoon of dirt and expect it to grow. Though the teaspoon of the dirt is the same size as the peach seed, it will not grow. The seed will only grow when it is planted in something bigger than itself. And I want to know, where are you planted this morning? Are you planted in something bigger than you? Or have you always been planted in teacups, surrounded by little dirt, little resources, small-minded people, narrow, limited places that never let you stretch to reach your capacity? Sometimes you gotta go where the corn is.